Hello, hello, hello. Hey, everybody. Hey, everybody. I'm actually on time this time. I'm actually on time. I know, crazy, especially with all um, these previous weeks and last streams, me not being on time. So yes, I'm on time. I'm here, and there's actually a lot of news that I'm actually pretty excited to cover. So, but first, how's everybody doing? Everybody's doing good. Everybody can hear me. Everything good. I hope everybody has had a good time, a good week. Cheers for being on time. Yeah. Don't get used to it. I won't guarantee I'll always be on time. You didn't do the Roblox AI age verification. That's good. You don't need to do the Roblox AI notification anymore, especially with one of the things that I want to cover today, which I've hinted at in the past. But yeah, once again, there's a lot of interesting stuff happening. We have a new potential movie coming out. We have some more updates on the Steam machine, and we also have some interesting development with one of the famous games, and also just a little bit of announcements here and there of new stuff that's coming around. Overall, actually some very exciting stuff. And I'm also very excited to talk about the game that I'm going to be highlighting today. Very interesting. It's going to be a lot of fun. So, with that said, I think we can go ahead and just start it. Just go right at it. All right. So, with the introductions out of the way, in fact, I'm gonna do a persuasive speech on why AI age verification is a bad idea. Aha. To whom? That's the question. To whom are you going to make the persuasive speech? Persuasive speech. Is it going to be to your parents? Is it going to be to a school? Is it going to be to your friends? All very important amount of people. Is it going to be to Congress? You'll have somebody that works for Congress in my chat? No way. So, but still, I give that speech almost on a daily at this point. I'm always talking about how AI could, AI verification is there, but not there yet. And there's a lot of different facets. There's a lot of technicalities. Here, class. There you go. All right. So let's go ahead. So this week, there's been a lot of things that's been happening this week, from some announcements of potential movies that are coming out to some new updates on the price for the Steam machine, and some information, some like new announcements that came out, and some potential leaks on new games that are coming out this year. So without further ado, let's go ahead and start our weekly gaming news recap. Okay, so here's a little teaser of what we're going to be covering on today. So the first thing that we're going to be covering is, as you can see here, we can see little Glenn Powell looking like Verso from Expedition 33. Why is that? Well, that's because Clear Obscure Expedition 33 has now gone into production to make a full live action movie from the actual Expedition game. So as we know, Expedition 33 was Game of the Year, and we also know that a lot of video games have been getting their movie adaptations, and they've actually been very successful. And now, due to the success of Expedition 33, people in the cinematic and Hollywood are all looking with dollar signs, and they're saying, that's something I want to cash in on. So Expedition 33 already having a really good story, really good thing, Actually, I don't even know if it's going to be a movie or a series. That hasn't been confirmed. We just know it's going to be a live action adaptation. They do say film here, but that's kind of theorized so far. We don't exactly know. But regardless, the story holds its own. So if they were to adapt it as is, I think it would be really, really good. And it's the same thing. I think it's going to be like the same type of impact that we saw with The Last of Us and the series of The Last of Us. So overall, very excited for that. And not only are we seeing a potential adaptation for Expedition 33, but we're also seeing that Glenn Powell has shown interest in Expedition 33, which is actually really funny because there was a funny interaction between the voice actor of Expedition 33 when he heard the news of Glenn Powell, the voice actor for Verso, basically going like, well, I'm cooked, guys. I'm cooked. So who knows? Maybe we'll see Glenn Powell in Expedition 33 in a movie or in a series in the future. Who do you think he's gonna play? I already cast my vote. I think he would play Verso. I think that's who he would fit the best as. But what do you think? Who do you think would be the best character for Glenn Powell to play if he plays a role in Expedition 33? Overall, very interesting. And honestly, I mean, can you say no to that guy? I mean, it's Glenn Powell. I mean, have you seen Twisters? Have you seen The Running Man? I mean, that guy, he's something else. I don't swing that way, but he made me doubt. You know what I mean? That's all I'm saying. He's an attractive dude, okay? So, yes, if we were to see Verso, which I also thought it was a very attractive man in video games, played by Glenn Powell, I think we're going to be doing some very interesting things, and I won't be the only one really enjoying that adaptation. So, overall, very excited. We'll wait till we get more news on who's adapting it, who's the director, or what other things who other actors are gonna be acting in it. We're gonna have to wait and see until we hear more information about the movie or series, and hopefully, if it does get made, I hope it's really good. And the story stands on its own. So honestly, like, I love this story. I love the game. I can't wait. And recent adaptations for video game movies and series have been really good. So my expectations are kind of high. So we'll see if they meet them, but we probably won't be seeing anything until maybe 2028 or something along those lines. So we'll just have to wait and see. I'm gonna have to say pass. Damn, that's crazy. That's crazy, Sans. That's crazy. To Glenn Powell, that's crazy. Well, everybody has their types, and everybody has their own opinions. Everybody has the rights to their own wrong opinion, and that's perfectly fine. So, with that said, let's go ahead and go out of the movie scene and going back into more of the video game industry and talk about the Steam machine. Because the Steam machine, funny enough, last week on Thursday, or actually on Friday, after I already done my recap, the Steam machine price got leaked. Or so we think. So what really happened is that there was a Czech website that was putting a placeholder for the Steam machine for them to sell it when it comes out, and somebody went into the files, into the code, basically they did the inspect tool in the website and they checked the values. It's a little bit blurry here. I wasn't able to get a pretty good picture of it, but basically they went and inspected the page, and while inspecting the page, they saw these following prices listed for the Steam machine. Now, there's been a lot of theories on what this price actually is, whether it's actually going to be accurate, or there's a lot of debate on what actually would be the price here in the US. Because if we were to directly translate that from Czech coins to the USD, the US dollar, it says here that it was around $950 to $1,000 range. And now that seems very expensive, but it's still within the range that we saw the potential of it becoming. So a lot of people were a little bit disappointed, but that wasn't, but we kind of expected that value. But there's been a lot of discussion about this value because it's not just as simple as just taking the value in check and turning it into the USD, right? There's a lot more nuance involved. And from that nuance, I don't know enough to like go fully into detail, but I know that this other TikToker called Jay the Frog Zero, he made a pretty good short video explaining just how the Steam machine and how people are thinking the Steam machine price is what it really is, its potential price, and why other people might be wrong and why it might be cheaper. And I have a screenshot right here. Basically, in the Czech stores, they add a retail percentage. So that's why the $1,000 that we saw is actually $888. And also the fact that in Europe, they tend to already increase the prices for their consoles. Even a PlayStation is a lot more expensive in Europe than it is in the United States. Taking that into account, they also kind of lower the value a little bit more. And now the predicted value is roughly 750 to 670 for the Steam machine with 512 gigabytes or with the 2 terabyte memory. Now, these are great prices, and I've even seen some people estimate a 600 flat for the 512 gigabytes and a 700 flat for the 2 terabyte version of the Steam machine. But after seeing these numbers are way more reasonable. So everybody's gotten a little bit more excited. We might actually see a pretty fair price for this device, and more people might be able to actually get their hands on this new console when it comes out. Now, they originally stated that it was going to come out sometime around February, so sometime around next month, but that might have changed as recently although we've seen the outlook of $600 to $700 dollars for the Steam machine, due to all the they had to call it back due to all the RAM increases in prices, all the GPU increases in prices, all those shortages that are happening. They might have pushed the date further back, and we might not see the Steam machine coming out on February, and they unfortunately may be more expensive than these values that we saw in the Czech website. So this is still all very hypothetical, and we won't know until they actually release it. But still, it looks very promising that we might see some actually very affordable values for this new Steam machine. Not only that, but they also have been claims that the new Steam machine is going to be a lot easier to get more games verified for it. So one of the issues that the Steam Deck had was that when you could buy a game on Steam on the Steam Deck, not every game could run properly on the Steam Deck. So Steam made a verification, I guess like check or something for the games and it would tell you whether you could play in the Steam Deck that game properly or not. And there's a couple of really high requirements for you to get that Steam verification check on your game. So that way people know that you can actually play the game on your Steam Deck. But now, although they've been very high specs and very high requirements, now we're seeing that they're stating that the Steam machine itself is going to be a lot less strict on what it gives as its requirements. I'm just changing the games. There you go. So they're changing the requirements to be fewer, so that way they can add more games and make it easier for people to verify their games so that people can play it on this new console. Now, what were the original requirements? Although we don't know the requirements for the new Steam machine, we can take into account the requirements for the Steam Deck. And when we look at the Steam Deck requirements, we can see that they had a requirement for input, display, seamlessness, and system support. Basically, just to summarize these things, the input was basically stating that whatever game you had to recognize what controller you were using so that it would show on screen the controls, contributing to your actual controller. So if somebody said, for example, press F to pay respects or press E, then and you're playing on keyboard, that's fine. But if you're playing on controller, it would say press Y, press A, right? So they just want to make sure that it has that capability of recognizing the controller one person is using, so that way it could show you the correct controls for that specific controller. Now, the display is basically telling you that the game should be able to run at these specific resolutions, which makes sense because that's usually the screen size of the Steam Deck. So they wanted to make sure that it would work on that. They also stated seamlessness, which basically just means that when you boot up the game, it doesn't tell you that you're running a weird version of the game, or it's telling you that, hey, you might encounter some issues. There's no prompts or anything, that you're able to just boot up the game and play it as if it didn't even know it was a Steam Deck, as if it was your own computer playing that game. And lastly, system support. System support was basically that there are some games that are not made to run on Linux, and those games that are made to run on, for example, Windows and not Linux, usually use the software called Proton. And Proton basically takes that those Windows specific calls or queries that tries to access data from your computer, and it takes that request, translates it to Linux, and then sends that to the Steam Deck kernel, and that way it works as a middleman where it's translating what's coming from the game, asking for Windows, and what's coming back from the Linux kernel, so that way they can work seamlessly without having any compatibility issues due to different operating systems. So these are the 4 requirements that your game needs on Steam to get that little check mark and verification from Steam, to letting you know that you can play it on the Steam Deck with, reportedly without any issues, right? You shouldn't encounter any issues. Now, what is the Steam machine's requirements for these checks, right? Well, we don't have that specifically, but we can kind of infer with what we have here. Them stating that it's easier states the following. First, they stated that if the game already has a verification for the Steam Deck, it will work on the Steam machine. So that's really good. So games that you can already play on the Steam Deck, you'll be able to play on the Steam machine without any issues. Second, due to the Steam machine being a console, and a console connects to a TV or any other type of display and doesn't have its own in-net display, that means that this requirement right here for display would not matter, because it should be able to work on any display regardless of what medium you're using, whether that be a TV, a monitor, a tiny monitor, I don't know. Like, regardless, it should be able to run whatever game and whatever software it has on any monitor, because the Steam machine works like a console, the same way you would with an Xbox or with a PlayStation. The other requirement that I believe would be removed for the Steam Deck would be the input. The reason I believe that the input requirement would be removed is because although the Steam machine does have its own controller, it does have the option for you to play on mouse and keyboard, meaning that although that's not their preferred way of doing it, it just means that if you have compatibility with the keyboard and mouse, then just like any computer, you should be able to run any game, and the Steam machine would be able to do the exact same. And then it would just be a matter of you connecting the controller, if you want to use the Steam controller or Xbox controller or whatever it is, depending on what is the game that you're going to play. Obviously, if you're going to use the Steam machine as a console, it's very likely you won't want to be playing mouse and keyboard. So it's very iffy on whether that will be a requirement or not, but I believe that it shouldn't be a requirement, and that it should just, if you have a game that can be played on the Steam machine, but you need a mouse and keyboard, that's kind of on you. Or at least there's maybe a notification or a little tag somewhere in the game stating, oh, this doesn't have controller support, right? which can be easily done, and you can kind of see it a lot of times nowadays. Even in the Steam's UI, in their like big picture mode or whatever, that UI usually tells you if it has controller support or not. So I believe there will be something similar to that. Regardless, I believe that due to those reasons, the input should not really matter too much on the requirements for the Steam machine specifically, not for the Steam Deck. Thus, the only things that we would care about for a game to be able to run on the Steam machine would be whether it has seamless transition from you booting up the game, and whether the system is supported with, if it doesn't have a Linux, base Linux adapted version of the game, then having it compatible with Proton, which most games are nowadays. The only time that it becomes a little bit complicated is usually when the game has a lot of anti-cheat support that usually that tries to contact the direct kernel, and if anti-cheat, it'll try to contact a specific Windows kernel to check what your computer is doing. And since it's Linux, it won't work as properly. So there's a couple of like issues here and there, but overall, Proton has gotten way better over the years. And most of the time, especially indie games, you should be able to play without many issues. So that's what we're seeing for the requirements on the Steam machine. And honestly, very interesting. So we can expect that the Steam machine is going to have way more, a slew of more games that you're going to be able to play with. So overall, very interesting. I generally, if it ends up being a good price, I would get my hands on it myself. It seems really fun, really nice. But only time will tell. We're still waiting for the official release of the actual pricing. So until then, we'll just have to stay here and wait and hope for the best. Now, speaking of pricing, there is somebody who has been taking advantage of their new pricing system in their game. That system being in Fortnite, as Fortnite has just allowed microtransactions in their Fortnite islands. And immediately after this is allowed, we just ended up with gambling. And I'm just going to say, I called it. Fortnite is becoming Roblox. I called it. I said it before. Once we saw this this merger or this joint program between Unity and Epic Games about them using Unity's innate pricing modules and coding, I knew that this was just going to become another Fortnite, another Roblox type of environment. They're just becoming every day more and more like Roblox, and we're seeing it right here. I'm going to be honest, I was looking at this page, and it took me a while to realize whether it was Fortnite or Roblox, what I was looking at. I'm pretty sure that this picture is specifically for Roblox, but you don't have to go that far away, because here's an example of it in Fortnite. It's literally just, they added gambling mechanics into Fortnite, where you can now spin a wheel and get different benefits, and they've even immediately added it to the brain rot game, buy your brain rot, steal your brain rot, whatever that game is. Well, they added gambling mechanics on it, and you gotta use your V-Bucks to be able to buy any of those, basically loot box and gacha to try to get any of those brain rot creatures. And it's just, it's unnecessary. We're just going back to Roblox, but they don't care anymore. This is being very predatory and giving Fortnite right now, at least those individual creators, a bad rep, because they're not the only ones. Steal Your Brain Rot wasn't the only one that implemented this type of like loot box, gacha, or gambling mechanic. A bunch of different Fortnite Island creators started implementing some type of gambling in their game to get an easy buck. And honestly, I can't really blame them, especially if Fortnite doesn't have anything to counteract this. And unlike Roblox, Fortnite does not need to cater for kids, as Fortnite is also allowed for, although it has an E rating, it never specifically said that it was a kid's game, unlike Roblox. So who knows? I doubt that this will be something that they'll really address unless countries start getting, start banning against it the same way they did with Roblox. Regardless, this is just, once again, we're moving towards Roblox. This is a step closer, and I called it. That's all I'm going to say. I called it. I literally said if Fortnite was turning into Roblox, and here it is. It's happening right in front of your eyes, and unless they put some type of, requirements or any type of, regulations, we're just gonna start seeing that. Roblox is gonna start dying off as it gets banned in other countries, and Fortnite is gonna start taking over that market. So that's exactly what we're seeing here. We'll see. We'll see what happens. This is already a very interesting thing. We'll see how it goes out. Once again, Fortnite already has a huge following, even without this. So imagine with this whole gambling thing and unfortunately allowing the youth to gamble at such a young age. And I say I'm scared for the next generation. But that's kind of where we're at with Fortnite. At least V-Bucks is able to be gotten for free in some degree. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. But I'm assuming that they're still going to get paid if you use those V-Bucks on their thing. So we'll see. There are some ways of you getting to free V-Bucks, and maybe it'll incentivize people to grind for those. But let's be honest. We're talking about impressionable kids that don't have necessarily the patience yet or the maturity to understand that maybe they shouldn't spend money on this, and they'll just ask their mother for a $25 V-Bucks credit gift card and immediately gamble it away on on steal your brain rot. So crazy stuff. Regardless, let's move to the next game or the next news in the game of this list, which is the fact that Monster Hunter Wilds, they just realized a tiny thing that could improve your gameplay. It can improve your frame rate. And the funny thing is how you can improve your frame rate. So the thing is, somebody found out that Monster Hunter Wilds has a bunch of DLC content that if you don't buy the DLC content, the game is always kind of like blocking or running in the background, trying to like block that content from appearing. That's the best way I could describe it. It's like when you're trying to load in, it'll try to load in the DLC content, and then it'll immediately go like, wait, this guy don't got it. Give me a sec. There you go, remove it. And then once it's gone, then it'll load the game. And thus that causes a lot of frame rate issues and a lot of loading issues that we've been experiencing for the last year right now. And somebody found out that if you buy all those DLCs from Monster Hunter Wilds, funnily enough, your frames get better, your FPS becomes better, and you have less lagging, less frames issues, and less loading issues. Basically, Monster Hunter Wilds just became a pay-to-win game. If you play this game and you buy all the DLC, you're guaranteed to play better. Like, you'll just be able to run the game more smoothly. So it wasn't enough that you had to pay $70 to buy the game. Now you gotta buy all the DLCs if you want to run it properly. So crazy stuff, honestly. The developers have been working on making improvements, and funnily enough, one of the improvements they said was improving the way that the game manages files. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is one of the many things that they're trying to improve on the way it manages files, and where it doesn't try to spawn in or try to access data that you don't have access to because it's DLC, and then be like, no, give me a second, I gotta sort this out, right? So overall, once again, interesting. I'm literally gonna be posting a video not too not too long from now about Monster Hunter and everything that's been going on with Wild. But this is just it just came out today. It's so surprising to see this. Capcom really kind of fumbled the bag with this one and optimizing this game. But yeah. New ways to get people to buy DLCs just dropped. Yep. Just make the game worse. If you make the game worse, but we'll make it better if you pay DLC. Who knows? Maybe people will actually buy it because they won't be able to play the game. Although I'm pretty sure there's some legal stuff and legality against one being able to do that. That's literally wouldn't that be like a paywall? I mean, it doesn't count as a paywall because you have access to basically play the game, but it performs, I don't know how the legal stuff would work there, but definitely just not a good look. Not a good look, Capcom. But Capcom is not the only ones that's trying to revive a game that's unfortunately dying, as right now we saw the announcement trailer for the new DLC for Payday 3, the Shopping Spree DLC. Now, this DLC seems to be honestly very interesting. It's adding new guns, new mechanics, new heists. The new heist location is like a mall, and it's very interesting. It has like different, you can go through vents and stuff like that. From the trailer, it seemed very interesting, and actually, I might actually jump into it again just to try it out. It honestly seemed very nice. It has new mechanics and stuff like that, so it honestly seems very nice. The only thing that I would have to check is whether they fixed the, I guess, customization format or the customization settings for the game, because I feel like it was very limiting and you can't really customize your mask and your character to be what you want it to be. And I feel like that was a lot of like the personality for Payday 2. And if they haven't addressed that, then I feel like there was, even if the heist is good, there's no real incentive for people to come back and play it. But I do not know because I haven't played it myself and the DLC is not out yet. So we'll have to wait and see. And let's see if this time they actually are able to revive the game after all the funds and all the resources they've been focusing and pulling towards Payday 3. So yeah. But with that announcement, that concludes the news segment. And now I want to highlight a specific game, or in this case, a specific franchise that has been getting a lot of attention this week. And that franchise is Fallout. So, Fallout. There's been a lot of talk with Fallout because there's been a couple of leaks recently stating that either they're making a Fallout 3 remake or a Fallout New Vegas remake. And a lot of people are very excited about that news. But we don't know which one. It's the person who leaked this is somebody who apparently very credible, and they were able to predict the Oblivion remake when he leaked it. So he has a reputation, and then he stated that there was going to be a Fallout remake from either 3 or New Vegas coming out, or maybe both. But regardless, there's a lot of evidence showing that potentially this could be coming up, and people are predicting that this will come out when the season finale of season 2 of Fallout is dropped. So people are kind of tying it in with the series, saying that once the series is over, since it has to do with Vegas, with New Vegas, then maybe they'll do the remake of the actual game. Who knows, right? But additional to that, that's been a while now that people have been knowing about those leaks. Additional to that, it seems today that maybe it got confirmed that the games are getting a remake. Now, why are they stating that it got potentially accidentally confirmed? Well, the reason is because some people started going into Steam, and if you go to Steam to New Vegas or to Fallout 3 and you try to leave a review, they get this little pop-up. Basically, the pop-up states that you are unable to leave a review of a game that has not yet been released. why would you be showing this on a game that's been out for a while now? If not because the remake is conflicting with the same name, the remake is conflicting with the Steam servers, and it's showing you they have the slot available for it, and it's showing you that potentially the game is gonna come out. Now, they did find this for Fallout New Vegas and for Fallout 3, but not only that, they also, I will state, a little bit of crumbs here of doubt, they did find it for stuff like Batman Arkham Knight and some other games. So it's not just the Fallout franchise or these two games that got this treatment. It might have just been a glitch on the Steam page overall when you try to leave a review. But, you know, I did some digging and I checked myself and I noticed something interesting. If you go to the website, to dgamingmarketplace.com, and you check the score for Fallout New Vegas, you're going to notice something interesting. You're going to notice that there is 2 games of Fallout New Vegas being shown. Now, why would this happen? Why would the gaming marketplace show 2 different games with their own unique scores and everything? Well, the way it works is that it uses the Steam ID and the name associated with that Steam ID to this, basically use that to take the data needed to calculate a score, right? Well, if there is a Steam ID, 2 different Steam IDs for the same game, it'll show as the same game. And what we're seeing right now is that in the game marketplace, we can see that there are 2 Steam IDs associated with Fallout New Vegas currently. And this is extracted directly from the Steam database, meaning that could this also be a potential leak, a potential proof that Fallout New Vegas is the one that's going to get a remake, and we're now seeing its own Steam ID for it? Now, you might be wondering, how does it have a gem score if the game hasn't even come out? Well, once again, we take into account other things other than just playtime and concurrent players and stuff like that, right? So due to the game having the same name, in this case, Fallout New Vegas, if people were playing Fallout New Vegas on Twitch or searching Fallout New Vegas on YouTube or online, which a couple of people did because of this leaks and because of the anticipation for the new game to come out, then it would have a score, but it would have a lower score, which is what we're seeing right here. This is the actual Fallout New Vegas game. Meanwhile, this is the one we're getting for the score of the one that doesn't have any actual player data associated to it. Once again, proving that maybe this could be Fallout New Vegas, the remake, not being posted out yet, but already having its slot available in Steam for whenever they decide to actually drop it. Who knows? There's no guarantee, but it's very interesting that we're here talking about a potential other game conflicting with the Steam page and a new game remake, and now we're seeing 2 copies of that game. And since we don't know whether it's Fallout 3 or Fallout New Vegas, it is very interesting that maybe this one confirms that Fallout New Vegas is going to be the one that's going to actually have the remake, and maybe Fallout 3 is not. Because if we take a look at Fallout itself, we can see that Fallout 3 just only appears once. It doesn't have another version of it. Now, so with that said, let's take a look. Let's take a look at how this game has been performing recently, especially with this whole hype happening regarding the ending and the finale of Season 2 of Fallout and the potential release of Fallout New Vegas and Fallout 3. So, if we take a look at Fallout New Vegas and Fallout 3, we can clearly see that around December, when we started seeing the leaked information, we start seeing spikes. People start coming back to the game expecting it. And we can also see right around here, which is when this is actually better if I do it here. Right around here, this peak right here coincides to when they Fallout New Vegas specifically, a leak came out and people were expecting it to come out at the end of the season, right? So this increase that we're seeing over here is when the first season started. The second season of Fallout started, which takes place in New Vegas, and then after that it goes up. And then when the leaks came out stating that Fallout New Vegas might be getting a remake on 2020, on the season finale of season 2 of Fallout, then we're seeing that spike here. So it's very interesting. Some people did go back and play the game recently after they heard the news, getting ready for the potential remake that will come out. Now, this is not the only one that was affected by this news, as if we take a look at Fallout 3, we can see similar behavior. Now, if we take a look at Fallout 3, we can see that around the time that the Season 2 started airing, right around this time here, we can see that it went up, right? And we see some spikes of people coming back, and the overall average kept increasing thanks to people slowly but surely coming back to playing Fallout 3 after the new season came out, and also coming back after the leaks were revealed. As you can see, once again here, we can see that, sorry about that, we can see here, wow, I'm terrible at drawing an arrow. We can see here that when the leak came out, we now see this spike coming right up. And in fact, if we take a look, we can see that that spike was a 200% increase in one day. So clearly the news and the anticipation and the overall hype for these remakes to potentially come out and for the end of season 2 is bringing some traction. Now, if we compare it to Fallout 4 and Fallout 76, we don't see that much of an issue of a change. We can see that there was practically zero change on Fallout 76, as we can see here, practically zero change, and we can see very little change for Fallout 4 with in today specifically going down by 8%. But if we take a look at Fallout 4, we can also see once again this trend of when the season 2 was announced and when it started airing, we see that spike right around here. The season 2 trailer came out and immediately people started playing Fallout 4 again. And then we see a little steady, just a steady play throughout the time. And then once again, another peak right here, right around the time when we saw the leaks for Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas, people coming back to play Fallout 4. And we see that little peak right there. So overall, very interesting stuff. Fallout is not doing so bad for itself. Let me fix the camera a little bit because I think it's too high up. Yeah, not doing so bad for itself, and overall seeing very interesting numbers. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and change the perspective because now we're gonna take a look at all these games, all the Fallout franchise so far next to each other in a graph format. So I'll go ahead and set up the green screen for that. So let me just go ahead and set up the green screen. So let me look for I have the thing over here. But yeah, what do you guys think? Very interesting stuff. It's honestly, I love it when we can see how different mediums and different sources affect the performance of different of our games, right? Like the attention our games get, they are influenced by external forces, not just by people playing it. So it's always super interesting to see these type of getting displayed in this way. Yes, the weatherman. That's exactly what I'm gonna do. Just give me a sec and I'll go ahead and do it. Time to go flying. Yeah, you're gonna go flying right about now. Just give me a sec. I gotta light it up for you guys as well. So you guys are not gonna be able to. Time to go flying. Once I get another camera, then hopefully I can have it kind of just steady there. But until then, you guys will go flying. Let me. There you go. Until then, you guys just have to get used to being flying. I'm just setting this up better so it doesn't move. Perfect. And now I'll just have to fix the lighting. So what are you guys thought of the news? Any news in particular that got you riled up? Anything you find interesting? Well, I set you guys up here. That's one. That's just one of them. Here. Let's set up the other one. Multi-plug. There we go. Let's up this guy. And that's still pretty dark. I wonder why. It's usually a lot brighter. I feel like it's a lot darker today. Let me turn off this light. Let's see if that's the case. All right. Let's see here. Let's turn over to our news, our weatherman view of the data, and let me just boot up that data. Where are you? There you are. There you go. Let's start the stream. Perfect. And we're going to be focusing on the time of November. Yeah. Sometime November right here. And then we'll just get it right around here. All right. So these are different ones. So can you guys see it? Is the question. It's a little bit too big for you guys. Let me just lower this a little bit. Let's see. A little bit farther out. A little bit farther in. And okay, one more and you guys should be good. You should be able to see the graph without any issues. Perfect. You see the graph. Now, let's see how well you can see me. If we have to fix it a little bit, we can. How are we looking? How are we looking? A little bit better than last time? You guys can actually see me this time. You guys can actually see me this time. We're not dealing with the issue that we had last time where I was kind of transparent. No, it seems like we're all good. There you go. You know, I worked. I get better over time, slowly but surely. We get it. Now I just gotta make it so I can actually see the screen, just like you guys can, so I can point properly at the graph. And all right, I should be able to see it now. Oh, nope, because the light is like right there. Okay. Okay. I mean, I seem pretty dark for some reason. I got an idea. I know why. I know why. It's okay. I study tech for a living. There's a reason. There's a reason I study tech for a living. It's to fix these issues live on camera. So worry not, I can fix this in a flash. Okay. There we go. Okay. Now, You should be able to see me a little bit less dark. There you go. There we go. Oh, what happened to the graph? Did I kill the graph? What happened? Oh, no, I didn't kill the graph. I see what happened. Ah. I'm done with this screen. I ain't gonna close it. Okay. So, you guys can see. That's perfect. So, basically, what we see, and I can't see. You guys can see, but I can't see. There we go. Now I can see a lot better. You guys can see me a lot better too. And then we can, alter the data later. Okay, so what we see right now is basically we have what would be Fallout New Vegas is purple. We also have I'm screwing up. Minor technical difficulties. Please be patient. All right, so Fallout New Vegas, from you guys can see, Fallout New Vegas is purple, 76 is green, Fallout 4 is yellow, and 3 is orange. So, from what we're seeing, we can see that around November, this is when the season 2 of Fallout got teased. The trailer came out. And because around this time in November that trailer came out, we can see a little bit of a spike on these games. The games that normally people were already playing, we see how it slowly increased a little bit of its performance, right? More people started coming in, more people started searching information about Fallout, thus increasing its score. Now, while the series was going around, it seemed like it just kind of went steady. Nothing too major, pretty stable performance all overall. We can see a little bit of spike here in Fallout 3, but nothing major. And then we can go ahead and see here that after the Fallout, this is December, so this is when we're going mid-season. Oh, actually, this is when the actual season 2 started. Around December 16th is around when the season actually started. So we have the teaser here. We have the trailer around this time. And then here is when the actual season started, right around here. So after the actual season started, then people started going on and just playing again even more because the season was going and they were playing the game and they wanted to see all those references. They were very excited, so they were going and playing the games more. Now, once again, we can then go around and closer to January, which is right around here, right in January is when we start seeing the leaks coming out. Is when we start seeing the new anticipation for a remake for Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas, and everybody's so excited, and everybody's like, oh my god, I can't wait for the next game to come out. So then people started going into the game, and we see an increase, especially in Fallout New Vegas. We see, oh my god, it's coming! Guys, it's gonna come out! I'm telling you, look at the leaks! It's coming out! Oh my god! And now it's seeing roughly the same amount of value, roughly the same value as Fallout 4. That's the interesting part. We're seeing roughly Fallout 4 and Fallout New Vegas at one particular day saw the exact same amount of traction, amount of engagement. And this is an old ass game. Fallout New Vegas came out on Xbox 360. It's an old game. And the fact that it got as well of a score as the current newest version of Fallout 4, it shows just how much hype there is around people wanting New Vegas to come out. Now, with that said, Fallout 3 is a game that people are also very excited to come out. Unfortunately, the general score for Fallout 3 is very low. So it did have that 200% increase that we saw earlier, but it's like it's a little blimp compared to the scores that these other games have, right? So overall, a lot of excitement here. A lot of excitement. There's a lot of people who are very excited for this new potential game to come out. We'll have to see whether it's Fallout 3 or Fallout New Vegas. But like you saw, my guess, according to my data, it's Fallout New Vegas. That's going to be my guess. And if it does come out, and it does come out when people are stating that it will come out, which is at the end of Season 2, and it's New Vegas, you heard it here first. We had another version of the leak confirming the leak here first. Okay, so definitely go ahead and tell your friends and tell everybody, I had that data. I said it as well. I confirmed that data. It was me. So yeah, very interesting stuff. Now, I'm going to change this graph so that we can see real quick the actual performance of the overall lifetime, right? Now, these values are going to get very small because of Fallout 4, but this what we're seeing right now, right? This is when Fallout 4 came out, right? So we can see that huge increase. Actually, I'm not even sure if this is. I assume it's when it came out, either on Steam or because I don't remember. Is Fallout 4 from 2024? I don't even remember. But yeah, this is Fallout 4, right? So the highest peak we ever saw for Fallout 4 was roughly, I think it was around 800 something, and I can check it real quick if I go to the website real quick. Let me just go to. You don't want to see that. Give me a sec. The marketplace.com, and we can see that when it was out. If we look at well, actually, yeah, let's just go top games. Let's go to Fallout. And there we go. 2015. So that wasn't the release. That must have been like some update or some that must have been some update or some new news or something when some came out on 2024. Actually, it might have even been, let's go back to the graph. When did this show come out? Fallout Season 1 release date. Could this be? Oh, there we go. There we go. Okay, so that's what it was. That's what it was. So what we're seeing is that the series was actually really good at bringing people back and getting people to play the game. And we can see here that this spike, which it's its highest gem score that we've gotten so far, which it's around 680 something. I literally just looked up, but I didn't look at it. But around 680 something. This peak that we're seeing right here is because of the first season. This is when the first season started. And obviously, slowly but surely, it trickled down, right, to it's average. It's where it normalized into this value. But it's very interesting that we can literally see when the first season came out, and then slowly but surely, we can then go ahead and see that the second season wasn't as big of an impact as the first, right? So this is just overall very interesting that the first just had that much more impact, which makes sense. It was the first adaptation. People didn't know what to expect. People were very excited. So it makes sense that the first one had way more impact. Second season, I mean, I'm going to be completely honest. I love season 1. I have not seen season 2. It was kind of like dropped out of nowhere. The teaser came out and then around November, and then the actual series came out on December, and there's just been so many things going on. I didn't really realize that season 2 had come out till, well, basically when I was looking at this news for the leaks, right? So I didn't even know season 2 was already out. I just knew that they were working on it. So I think that might be like a marketing thing or something along those lines. Maybe they didn't announce it with enough anticipation or with enough gusto or whatever. But basically, season 1 here, season 1 did way more traction, brought way more people, and that's the other thing. It brought more people that maybe did not know about the Fallout franchise to try out Fallout. So that's why we're seeing this increase here. But the second season, people who were going to try out and play the game already did it around this time, right? So they're not going to come back to the game for a second season. But one thing that's very interesting to note here is the fact that this shows us that movies and series for any given game does have an effect. But unfortunately, it also shows us that a second season and onwards, the effects and the popularity is way more diminished. So if I were a executive and I were looking at this data, I'd be thinking it's not worth to do a season 2. Now, I'm not saying I don't want them to do season 2 of different shows. I love when they do a show properly, and it's great. It's just, the data is just showing, this is what a first season, a first adaptation of a game that maybe that some people didn't know about it and putting it into the mainstream, the effects that it can have. But once that hype is out, once that novelty is out and people know about it, then it just, you can't recreate it again just with a second season, which makes me understand a little bit more why so many seasons get canceled, so many shows get canceled. Regardless, I'm not happy with that. But that being said, that is the Fallout franchise, right? Once again, you can barely see it because they're really low compared to that really high value over there. It's really low afterwards, which is why I zoomed in earlier so that we could actually compare them side by side to each other in the last like 3 months. But still, super interesting stuff. And that is Fallout. I hope you guys found that information very interesting, and I hope you guys enjoyed. This is the game. This is the highlight. That's the news. And Weatherman is out. Let me put the thing back where it's supposed to be. Turn off these lights and fly you guys back to where you're supposed to go. Okay. There we go. Put you back. And then move this back here. So yeah. What were your thoughts? What do you guys think? Interesting, huh? Super interesting. I just realized I didn't put a chat for this particular I didn't put a chat for this slide. So I couldn't see the chat that entire time I was talking. So let me just add that real quick. Might as well add it now. So it was a window capture, I believe. Window capture, and then it should be nope, that's not it. What is it? Gaming news. What is it? What is this? Oh, I see why. It's a browser. It's technically a browser. Let me just... Yes, and then oh wow, this is like super high up now for some reason. There you go. You guys can see a little bit better now. Oh, and I forgot to turn on this light here. So, as the camera kind of adjusts itself again, as the camera kind of adjusts itself, and there we go. It just adjusted right now. All right. So if I add the chat to this thing, which I should have done sooner, but I had not noticed. Flop. Flop. Okay, there we go. There we go. I can't put it too large because then you guys wouldn't be able to see the charts. But I'll put it around here. But yeah. Let's see what you guys are doing. To the Mr. Market, if Glenn Powell actually gets a role in Versa, I'm going to respectfully riot. He's make me thankful I don't play Fortnite. I need someone with more grit and trauma behind the eyes to play Verso. Damn. Okay. I also agree with Sans. Very thankful Fortnite is nowhere near me. A lot of people I know love playing Fortnite, so I'm not safe from that at all. 9 more days until my birthday. 9 days earlier. Happy birthday when the 9 days come up. Also, yes, better than last time. I'm so glad. I genuinely try to work with the lighting and everything to make sure that I wasn't invisible, and we can actually enjoy it. Hytale release in a couple of days. Actually, yes, I saw about that. Fun fact about Hytale. Hytale was actually doing its own like little browser thing. Basically, they are trying to not go through Steam, even though I believe they do have a Steam version of Hytale. They were very focused on getting a Steam, like a launcher outside of Steam, their own launcher for their game. And from what I read, they're anticipating pretty high amount of people to come and play that game. So very interesting. I hadn't heard about it until recently when the news came out of them like dealing with their own launcher and with the anticipation of the amount of like millions of players that are registered and ready to like play the game when it comes out. So very interesting, and I really hope that it's successful. I mean, the Minecraft formula has not been I guess challenged for the longest time. So seeing something like this could be very interesting. And I would, oh, what the hell? Oh, I know why. I know why. Yeah. So yeah, very very interesting overall. Can't wait to see how it goes out. Let's see if it actually performs. We might not have data from it if it doesn't actually run through Steam. If it runs through a launcher, we might not be able to access data from it unless we like get data directly from them. But still, super interesting stuff. I wish nothing. It's an indie development team, so I always wish the biggest success for indie developers. I only hope that they always succeed and that they can able to gain some money for their efforts and the amount of time that they dedicate to these games. But yeah, but with that said, that is the hour. It took the whole news and the graph and everything. That took me a whole hour, and that's it. I don't have any more news to cover today. I don't have any more plans for today. I don't plan on playing anything today. I unfortunately have to take my wife to the airport very early tomorrow, so I have to go sleep early today. So with that said, thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you so much for listening to the news. I hope that you found the news interesting. Let me know. Do you want Glenn Powell to be in Expedition 33? Do you want the Expedition movie to be very nice? Like to be a live action movie, or do you want it to be a live action series? And do you think that CGI is capable of actually recreating an Expedition 33 movie? Also, is if the Steam Machine comes out at the price that we saw that people are predicting, would that be cheap enough for you to buy? Would you buy the GameCube if it was at those prices? Would it be? Do you think it would be successful? And lastly, would you be gambling on Fortnite? I think you will. But with that said, thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like, subscribe, and click that notification bell. And I will catch you guys in the next update of the gaming marketplace. And always remember, you can always check the news and or the performance of your favorite games in thegamingmarketplace.com. So until then, I will catch you in the next stream. So I'll see you guys. Thank you for tuning in. See ya. Bye.